Hey everybody, KC here. So I'm in one of my favorite places to be. I'm on Theater Row. I'm on Broadway in New York City. I love live theater, and I have to tell you, this is a play I'm going to be seeing that I've actually been looking forward to the minute I read about it when it was originally performed in London. And the play is called The Shark is Broken, and it's a really interesting concept. Takes place the summer of 1974. Jaws is shooting off the coast of Cape Cod, and Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, and Roy Scheider are stuck basically on the boat because everything goes wrong, especially the mechanical shark. It just won't work. So they're stuck there for weeks, and basically the play is about the interactions between among the three actors. And let's say they didn't always get along. Shaw didn't like Dreyfuss, Dreyfuss didn't like Shaw, Scheider was a mediator, and it's a well-known story. The really interesting thing about it in terms of subtext is the play is written, co-written by Ian Shaw, Robert Shaw's son, and he plays his father. And I tell you see the pictures, he looks just like Robert Shaw from his time in Jaws. So listen, those of you who know Morning Newsbeat, know Michael and me, you know that Jaws is a go-to for us when we talk about business lessons from the movies. And, I can't tell you how many times over the years I've used the line, you're going to need a bigger boat, both on the site, in speeches, in our book, The Big Picture, Essential Business Lessons from the Movies, talking about the point that it's really important in business and frankly in life to always have a big enough boat. That means the right format, the right technology, the right people, the right vision, the right strategy, and the right tactics. If you don't have all of those things in place, inevitably you're going to be going up against the sharks, especially these days, and your boat is way too small. So anyway, I'm about to go in, I'm going to see the show, and I'll come back to you afterwards. I'll tell you a little bit about it, and I'm going to bet that I'll probably have a business lesson or two. Hey everybody, so I'm back from the theater, and I have to tell you, I really like The Shark is Broken. It's a terrific little play, and one of the things I really liked about it is that it's sort of a story in miniature, right? They didn't try to do too much about it. It's just 90 minutes long. There's no intermission. There's no overreaching. It is specifically what it is, and there was no attempt to make it more than what it was, and yet there's a lot to it. I knew all the stories about how Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss didn't get along on the set of Jaws, but man, the workplace dysfunction that is shown in this telling, it's unbelievable. And it's fascinating to watch Roy Scheider be the peacemaker. But I saw in this kind of a business lesson, because at no point in the play did Steven Spielberg, the director, is he ever shown kind of stepping in and trying to make peace and broker some sort of understanding among the actors that they needed to get along in order for things to work. And, listen, in some ways, the point that Robert Shaw makes in the play is I'm pushing Richard Dreyfuss because I want him to give a better performance. And if I'm mean to him offset, it's going to be better when I'm mean to him during the movie. Spielberg, at least again in this telling, all right, is either unwilling or unable to sort of step in to make peace. Now, listen, he was in his late 20s, so maybe he was unable to do it. He didn't have a lot of experience at that point. But the lesson is that managers and leaders have to engage. They have to be aware of dysfunction in the workplace. They can't just trust that everything is going to work out. Although, to be clear, in Jaws, everything did kind of work out. The other business lesson really is the subtext. The shark just won't work. And while Shaw and Dreyfuss and Scheider are just sitting around for 9 weeks, sort of stewing in their own toxic workplace juices, Spielberg had to invent ways to shoot things that would suggest danger because he couldn't show the shark. And which is one of the reasons that Jaws really works so well, right? We don't actually see the shark until very late in the movie. The threat is always implied. And that's a really good business lesson there, right? Sometimes limitations make for great art. And in business, it seems to me that imagination can be more important than unlimited funds. Actually letting your imagination loose, trying to do things in a different kind of way as opposed to just spending money on it, that can be just as important. Now, did you say the play was really, really good, and it's made even better by the fact that the actors were so good in their performances. These guys have guts, right? They're playing three well-known actors at a time when those three actors are giving basically iconic performances. And they do it without actually ever, just doing imitations, just doing impersonations. Ian Shaw just channels his own father. And when he has Robert Shaw at one point talking about his own father, the implications are totally multi-layered. Alex Brightman is, all nervous energy and neuroses and mannerisms as Richard Dreyfuss. It seemed to me to be pretty spot on, although I'm guessing that Dreyfuss, who's the only one left who's alive, would not be impressed or necessarily in favor of this particular characterization. Colin Donnell plays Scheider. It's the least showy of the roles, but Scheider was the least showy of the actors, but I thought that Donnell really did a good job. He brings his sort of keen intelligence to the part. There's a lot of meta humor in this play. It's really funny. At one point, as they're about to finish shooting Jaws, Richard Dreyfuss talks about the fact that he wants to go off and do this UFO movie with Spielberg next, and Robert Shaw is exasperated. He goes, sharks, UFOs, what's next? Dinosaurs? Well, I think it wasn't necessarily next, but it came. It's really interesting. The narrative of the piece is how Shaw, who was, a functional alcoholic, was struggling to rewrite the famous USS Indianapolis speech in a way that was going to make sense and be dramatically compelling. And in the Indianapolis speech is one of the best things in Jaws. It ends up being one of the best things when it's recreated in the Shark Is Broken. Hey, listen. This was a lovely night at this, lovely summer night at the theater. It was absolutely perfect, and I hope you get a chance at some point to see The Shark Is Broken. Anyway, that's what's on my mind, and as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.